In this video, I'm going to share with you how to use custodian bank accounts to raise hundreds and millions of dollars for your projects, whether it's a cryptocurrency, whether it's a private placement program, whether it's real estate, whatever it is, you've got to watch this video. I'm Taimour Zaman from Contractual. My organization is a world-class leader in providing loans, registered loans, non-recourse loans through banks, as well as various dealer brokers all around the world. We also assist companies in monetizing various banking instruments, letters of credit, documenters of credit, bank guarantees of that, as well as helping companies participate in safe and proven private placement programs. In this video, I want to talk about how a custodian bank account works, what it is, and how to leverage it for your benefit. In full disclosure, line of credit, we're not a law firm and we're not going to give you any legal advice. We're not tax or accountants. We're not going to give you tax or accounting advice. We're not financial advisors. We're definitely not going to give you any financial investment advice. The purpose and intention of this video is strictly purely for educational and entertainment purposes. I do want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get access to customer walkthroughs, case studies. You'll have access to various banking tools and strategies that you can leverage for your own organization. One of the questions that we are constantly asking as we get asked is, Taimour, tell us really why you're such a gun-ho about custodian bank accounts. And here's what I want to start about my own personal story. 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, is when I started a real estate investment business and to acquire real estate investment opportunities. And I had to call, my personal cash flow was tapped out. So I had to contact friends and family and ask them to put up deposit money for me to buy income properties that I wanted to acquire. And so that by itself is awesome. And one of the utilities that I discovered was something called custodian bank. And a custodian, the definition, the meaning of custodian is somebody who's a guardian of something, somebody who's a guardian and holder of something. It's really important to understand what a custodian is. And if you Google custodian banks in your country, as long as it's not a village in Africa, I am pretty sure every developed countries you will have ample list of custodian banks. Oftentimes it could be your own bank depending on which country you live in, and that bank offers something called custodian services that you have to pay for. Here within Contractual, my organization has a custodian bank. It's Barclays in London. We love the relationship we have with our custodian bank, and it's something you set up at the beginning of your project before you do a capital raise for your project. You go to a custodian bank, you say, hey, I want to raise whatever amount of money as you want to raise. Let's say $50 million or $5 million or $500,000. And when this amount of money goes into you, the custodian bank, here's what I want in exchange. And so that's something that's a private conversation or a transaction between you and your banker. In our case within Contractual, when a depositor, keyword is depositor, not an investor, when a depositor deposits money within the custodian account, we have the ability to borrow 100% of the money from the custodian, from the guardian. So how is it different to my previous life? In my previous life, in my previous career, I would have to knock on your door, assuming your friends and family, and ask you, would you like to invest with me? You would have to make a decision on whether you like me, do you trust me, like all those decision criteria you would have to go through unconsciously or conscious for yourself. Then you have to make a decision on, do you like real estate or technology or whatever the things are that I want to invest in. And then you have to, is this risky, not risky, like that. And so there's a lot of decisions you have to make before you put up $500,000 or $5 million, whatever it is, whatever I'm asking you to do. On the flip side of it, with a custodian, with me having a custodian bank as a utility, I can now ask depositor, say, hey, I like to invest in whatever it is, cryptocurrencies, or I'm investing in private placement programs, I'm investing in whatever it is, and I like to have a private deal with you. You miss a depositor, what you have to do is deposit money with a custodian account. The custodian in this case allows me with a line of credit to borrow 100% of the money, not from the depositor, not from you, but from the custodian bank. And that's a genius part of this. So the risk to the depositor in my case is they get 100% of their money back from, not from me, from the bank. And in my case, the way that we have set up our custodian services is that when people make a deposit, that deposit goes against a bond. We have an agreement that's confidential for us with the bank and allows us to repurchase the bond, to borrow money against the bond, and there's a lot of things that we have set up that's confidential for us with the bank. But the benefit to the depositor is that they're depositing money with the bank. Their deposit is guaranteed assured by the bank against the, in our case, against the bond. So that's a key component of it. So depositor is not investing money in our projects per se. They're depositing money with a custodian account, and we have the ability, the right to go and borrow that money, not from the depositor, but from the bank. That's the beauty piece of all of this. So in the worst scenario, in our case, the depositors gain 100% of their money back plus the coupon rate of the bond. That's the worst scenario. The best scenario is, imagine whatever we are investing the money in, whether it's cryptocurrency, private placement program, real estate, whatever it is, we will have a side deal with the client and say, hey, this particular project will provide a return on investment of 8%, 12%, 800%, whatever it is, I don't know. And when it returns this amount, we're going to give you half of it, or we're going to give you 40% of it, 60% of it, something that is that we create with the client on the funding and deposit they're putting up. So if you think about it from a depositor's perspective and their experience of it, on the worst case scenario, they get 100% of their money back plus the coupon rate of the bond. And if you're successful doing whatever the transaction that we're doing, now they're going to get whatever that transaction says. So if we're going to give them, let's say 50-50, we're going to give them 50% of the profits we make, that's a really good payday. You know, with AI, I didn't get here overnight. I've been an international investor for over 20 years, and I can tell you I have a lot of failed projects in my past experiences. So every time I went to invest in a project, in some cases I lost all my money, in some cases I lost most of my money, in some cases I lost a little bit of my money, and obviously throughout time I've also made lots of money as well. What I like about the custodian model is that it eliminates all of that for a depositor. They don't ever have to worry about you losing money because they're depositing money with a custodian account. The contract is with them, with the bank, that against their deposit, this is what they're going to get. Now, for that to happen, you have to walk into your bank, whoever that bank is that you choose, that offers custodian services, and you have to figure this out with your banker. That's something that, you know, that's a conversation between you and your banker to say, I want to open up a custodian account. What are the safeties and securities the bank can offer to the depositor? And when the $500,000 or $5 million or $5 billion comes in, you know, what can you do to help me structure, provide me the funding that I need for my project financing, and how soon and how quickly can you do it? What are the fees involved with that? So that's the genesis of the conversation kind of thing. Now, if you're a registered deal broker with line of credit, if you're a client of line of credit like that, I highly welcome you to use our custodian services, because we've already set it up. We've already done the negotiations and having the attorneys talk to the bank and like all that legwork that takes months and months and months to figure out. We've already done it. And so if there's a service that line of credit offers, like a private placement program or a hybrid of a private placement program or something like that, and this is something that you want to take advantage of, we've set up the custodian services for you to consider that. So that's pretty much how custodians work, the benefits to you, and the advantages there is to a depositor. Now let me tell you one last thing on how a bank makes money, or how a custodian bank makes money, for you to have some additional knowledge. So first of all, banks make money by lending money out. Most people understand that, know that, comprehend that and that. So when it comes to a custodian, the custodian service is charging, in this case, me, or if you ever want to set up a custodian service for yourself, is charging you money to set up something called custodian services, like that. And these things are not cheap to set up. I highly recommend, if you want to ever go down this path, I highly recommend having an attorney to represent you who understands this, to structure this very carefully for you. And then you probably want to have a say into the contract that the client gets as well, the depositor gets. So in our case, our depositors get two contracts. One contract is with us. The contract says we're massively big in private placement programs or hybrids of buy and sell programs. So our contract would say, upon you depositing money with a custodian account, we will do X, Y, Z. Well, you get X amount of returns. That's what we tell our friends and family, people that we like to work with, kind of thing. So that's contract one. But the contract is based on the client depositing money in a custodian account. Contract two is between the bank and the client. And it's a very simple contract. It says you deposit money in a bank account, not by Taimour Zaman, not by Taimour's family members, friends, or somebody Taimour likes, none of that stuff. It says you deposit money in this bank account against this asset, let's say a bond. In our case, it's a bond. And the bond provides a coupon rate of, let's say, 1% a year. And 1 year, this is a key part, 1 year upon deposit, you get your the custodian releases the asset, the cash, whatever it is you put up, releases it back to the depositor. That's the part that's really, really cool. That you should really, I love that. It just provides a safety and security for the client, for sure. Kind of thing. That's it pretty much in a nutshell. We love custodian services. It's really helped me exponentially create a sense of safety and security for our clients. The client gets two contracts, one from us, one from the bank. It's a no-brainer. It's one of those things that, in my world, there's a da, aha, and a wow. This, for me, was a wow. I didn't know custodian services could exponentially increase the amount of project financing we can get. And for the depositors, like a da, that makes, it's a no-brainer. Now, why would a depositor who has millions of dollars or hundreds and thousands of dollars, who's interested in investing, they would rather go to somebody like you who they know who has a custodian service versus taking a risk on a project, like that as a comparison kind of thing. Now, I'm obviously generalizing this, and that's the benefits of custodian services. Now, having said that, I do have some frequently asked questions from the past few videos that we posted that I'd like to answer in this video for your benefit. Question number one is, when I was growing up, we were told to save money. Awesome. I have a daughter. I understand the education system. It is, and there's people like Dave Ramsey who are all about saving money. So the question is, why are you suggesting to borrow money all the time? What proof do you have? So that's a great question, and thank you for asking that question. So I am the Dave Ramsey antithesis. I think Dave Ramsey and the education system is awesome. My father used to be a banker, and so I grew up in a household called Son. Every time you earn $100, you put $10 aside, and my father has lots of evidence on how savings would work. He bought his first 3 cars using his savings. He bought his first house with his cash, with his savings and that. So I understand that religion, that way of being, or that thinking that some people are really stuck on. Like, I understand that 100%. Here's my case study. 2 people went to see a business partner of mine. They asked for advice on how they both wanted to buy a car. And they both asked, hey, you guys are financial wizards. What advice do you have? We want to go buy a car. My business partner said, please go to your bank, borrow as much money as you can from your bank, use the cash, portion of the cash to go buy the car that you want to buy for cash, and use the delta, the difference in buying assets, income producing assets like that. That was the quick advice that they got. The first person said thank you very much. Next day he went to his car dealership, bought the car he wanted, and it was like $599 on bi-weekly financing. The second guy actually listened to my partner, went to his bank and said, I want to buy a car. How much the maximum of money I can borrow? The banker said, well, you, dear client, have been a client for us for 20 years. You've got good credit rating. We'll give you maximum $500,000. He borrowed $500,000. He went and he bought the car on cash, and he used the delta to invest in real estate. Now it's been 5 years after. The first guy, the guy who did the financing deal, has a car that he bought for, I think it was $60,000, and 5 years after, that car is worth like $20,000. And that $60,000 that he bought the car for, he got on financing. So the cost for him was far more than $60,000. It was, I don't know what it was. I'm making this up, $80,000. The second guy who used my partner's advice got $500,000. Went and bought the car. I don't know what the price of the car was. Let's say $60,000. So paid $6,000 cash and got the car. Now he has $440,000 that he invested in real estate. That real estate in the past 5 years has gone up, and it's been income producing assets, and it's paid for the car and for the loan, like that. And now he's got an asset called real estate that he's refinancing every year to make additional income. So now if I can go back to the question that the viewer asked me, why do I suggest borrow money all the time? That's the reason I suggest borrow money all the time. So there's something called good debt and bad debt. So if I have credit card advances on my credit card, that's a bad debt. I don't recommend that at all. Good debt means I'm borrowing money constantly from banks, hedge funds, wherever I can borrow money from, and I'm investing it into income producing, in my case, it's income producing assets, things that provide cash flow. I believe we are living in a world of high inflation. Commodities are going up, things are going up, but salaries around the world are not going up. So people are poorer. Poor is the wrong word. They're not making it becomes harder and harder to create wealth when cost of living and inflation goes up and your salary income is not going up. So a different way to deal with this conundrum is to think about credit markets. I believe I'm pretty confident everybody in the world will agree that we live in a world of credit. So why not leverage your credit to take money out and make it in whatever you want to invest in, real estate, Bitcoin. I don't know what things people want to invest in. So go invest in that. Remember, we're not an investment shop, so I'm not necessarily pushing anything or suggesting anything, but go invest in whatever you want to invest in. But the ability to constantly raise money and make investments in cash producing assets, whatever that is for you, is what I believe you need to be ahead of inflation and cost of living going up. And that's why the key word is why I'm suggesting to borrow money all the time. That's why I'm suggesting to borrow money all the time. And the next question is, if you had no money, how would you start a business? That's awesome. I really do believe that you have to have money to make money, or you have to spend money to make money. I come from that school of thought. If I have no money, how would I start a business? The first thing I would do is look at government grants. There's billions of dollars in government grants all around the world in places like Africa, United States, globally. There's billions of dollars in government grants. If you don't know how to access these government grants, please book a consulting call with one of our associates. We'll hop into a Zoom link and we'll show you how we access government grants for clients. Now, when I say that, I want to be careful in how I say that. We're not government grant writers, so that's not what we're not going to go and apply for government grant for you. But we can show you how to apply for or find a grant that's applicable to whatever industry you're in. And you don't need to book a consulting call with us. It's something I invite you to just figure out and learn to do. But if I had no money, what I would do is I would go and look for government grants, apply for government grants to go get some grant money, get some cash so I can start the business that I want to start. I, within Taimour Zaman, started a non-for-profit called 1 Million Acts of Innovation years ago in partnership with two of my colleagues. All that funding that came in for the first few years was all from government grants. So that's how I really believe in government grants in lieu of startup capital or borrowing money from a bank like that. So that's the first thing I would do. When you have traction, I would recommend going to a bank or using Rent a Rich Uncle program that we offer to go get access to a bank loan. I find that bank loans are a lot cheaper compared to an investor coming in taking equity, or a shark lender coming in charging like 20% a year, whatever these shark lenders charge that at. Those are some recommendations that I would have for you in terms of if I had to start business. Now here would be another thing I would do. If you have the cash or some amount, I would highly recommend talking to any of the big accounting firms and asking them to help you purchase a shell company. A shell company is a company that has been in existence, is paying taxes every year like that. And if you can own a shell company that has history, when you go to a bank and the bank says, how many years have you been in business? You're using the shell company's history, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever that is. And so your credit rating is different, the amount of money you get is different, and there's lots of evidence on how having a shell company will get you farther ahead, a lot faster and a lot cheaper. But the cost upfront for you is you have to buy the shell company. So there's an upfront fee for you to pay. Once again, line of credit, we're not a law firm, accounting firm, so you're not calling us to do this for you. It's something we can help you with, but I highly recommend calling one of the large accounting firms. If you want a custodian bank, that's a very different scenario. The custodian, we'll be delighted to help you using our custodian services if that was value for you. Another question I guess, why isn't a line of credit has been sued when our competitors have been sued? I love answering this question. There's a politically correct answer to this and there's a truthful answer. The politically correct answer is because we operate in a high level of integrity. Every one of our associates, our attorneys, we operate at a very high level of integrity. We choose projects that we can win on. We're very clear with the client, very transparent like that. That's a politically correct answer. The truthful answer is because of my personal failure in being a CEO. And that's why I believe we haven't been sued or there's no blasphemy about us on social media or things like that. If you pick any large firm that you like to work with, whether it's Google, Facebook, Taimour, Ford Motor Company, pick any company you want to and look into their history. You'll see litigations after litigations after litigations against anybody that's a household item for you. But yet they're still a household item. So I believe this is something that I truthfully believe this in my heart. If you want to exponentially grow your business, at some point litigation becomes part of your business. And the fact that we don't have any litigations against us, the way that my personal view of it is my lack as a CEO, the lack of my vision to grow my business. And that's the truth. Am I looking forward to be sued in the future? The answer is absolutely not. In fact, every time we do a project, we take a portion of that project, our profits, and we put it into a litigation escrow account. So if, God forbid, if the litigation starts, we have the money. We have a lot more money than whoever who's litigating. And hell, we've litigated against a lot of false providers. Like we have a lot of litigations outside out of line of credit. So I know how to sue people around the world very, very effectively. So we're ready, willing, and able. Next question. I'm a broker and I have million-dollar clients. I don't understand why you need to pay money to book a call with you. That's a great question. So Mr. Broker, whoever you are, the truth is within linecredit.ai, we get hundreds of inquiries per day. My Mondays are the worst days because not only do I have to deal with Monday's inquiries, I have to deal with Saturday and Sunday inquiries coming in. We unfortunately don't have the bandwidth to answer all these inquiries. We have, hey, here's a document, can you take a soft look at it, give me a soft yes or no before we give you the paperwork. I don't have time for that. I apologize. With that volume that comes in, we can't put our time into gambling, if I can say that way. Or we have clients calling us, I want you to be on a call with a client just for 5 minutes of your time, 5 minutes of time. I would love to do that. Unfortunately, my associates and I, we just simply don't. With the volume of calls that are coming in, we have to have a system to screen out people that are not transaction ready. And I apologize, I don't have a better system than that. And so what we do is we ask people to pay a fee to be on a call with us. And if they want to come back again, I apologize, they have to pay for the fee. If somebody's looking for free advice, our YouTube channel is where we give all our experience, our years of experience for free on YouTube. And please don't hear this the wrong way. I highly recommend looking at our competitors' alternative options. We only offer 3 services that others cannot offer. In our lending program, we put up our money up at your bank. Or we put up our money up first with your bank to give you capital that your bank wouldn't do. Like in every category, whether it's private placement programs, lending, monetized banking instruments, we have some very unique services that others can't offer. Even our FBI background checking guide for private placement program that has some proprietary things that I just think makes us very unique. And I have just, our business model is we serve a market that wants to pay for advisory services. The market that doesn't want to pay or is hesitant or I'll pay you after I've made millions of dollars, we don't serve that market. Most of our services, if not all, we get paid on success. But the booking call like that, people need to pay for a time upfront. If I wanted to run a gambling business, gamble on this guy or that guy, we run a gambling scenario. We don't. We're running a professional services company. We have a brand reputation for executing, for expertise and experience, and it's like a law firm. Every time you call a lawyer, you pay for the lawyer's time. We're not any different. Next one. Are you hiring brokers? I don't know how to say this. The answer is yes to qualified people who speak English. I don't know how to say this. I apologize. We are always looking for talent, for sure. People who operate, have a high level of integrity, have a book of business, keyword have a book of business, and would benefit from services that complements our services, complements their services. Maybe if you're a mortgage broker or something like that, you would find our lending programs very different to what traditional banks do. And the fact that you can access capital a lot quicker. I don't know. If you're a broker and getting lots of money, but you want to have an alternative option like private placement programs or monetizing banking instruments, we are a perfect fit for that. So if you're a broker with existing book of business, we would love to have you as part of our associates, broker list like that. We provide some training, lots of training. We provide some marketing materials, sales materials. We offer you services others can't offer. We have Zoom calls with providers coming in and teaching, hey, let me tell you what's happening in the world of SBLCs, or what's happening in the world of line of credit, what's happening in the world of cryptocurrencies, like that. And so we offer a lot of thought leadership stuff that's meaningful, not theory stuff, but stuff that you can sell right away kind of thing. Last question. Some of the brokers on your videos claim they have made a lot of money in a few months of working with you. That is true. We do have a few brokers that have gone online and said they've made millions and millions of dollars in a few months, far more than they've made in their career for sure. So that's true. Do you have a program for brokers that we can join? We do. We do have a program for brokers that they can join. I'm a very big believer of integrity. There's an integrity document that one of my associates and I read for the past 4 years. It's a 37-page integrity document. We get people, our associates, reading an integrity document. I believe a lot in terms of operating in the world of integrity for sure. And then we do have a program for brokers that join, and just like anything else, you're putting some time into it for sure. We're providing some training materials. We provide sales opportunities, and in the new year within linecredit.ai, we want to focus more on doing our own private placement programs or hybrids of that ourselves. We are not interested in taking calls from the public, deal with the public necessarily. We want to, for lack of a better word, we've now started to drink our own Kool-Aid. We've started to see the liquidity, the capital, the profits that generates. And so what we're interested in is taking the traffic that comes into linecredit.ai and what I'm interested in is teaching people what we do and how we do it necessarily. But the incoming calls and can I do this, can I do that, that's something we want to start moving towards training. Registered dealer brokers that work with us, banks that work with us, we want to train them on our IP so that clients can go work with the dealer brokers that we've worked with and train with. My name is Taimour Zaman. If you find the custodian conversation interesting, useful, you like to learn about it, or anything else that I said here, please feel free to go to our website at credit.ai and book a discovery call with you. My associates and I would be happy to jump on a call and support you any way we can. Thank you very much.
Joe, thanks so much for your time today. Who are you? Why are we having this call? What did you get out of it, and what do you do for a living?
How you doing? I'm Joe Wilson. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but we have a nonprofit called Fresh Start Durham that supplies laundry and supplies showers for the homeless. And what we were trying to get out of this meeting was to figure out a way I could kind of amplify that and make a difference. And what you've shown me has been nothing short of spectacular, and I'm super excited for the future. And you're 100% the real deal, and I couldn't be happier that I reached out to you. And I look forward to working with you in the future for a long-standing relationship.
Awesome, thanks, Joe.